he's telling me what she should do and how she should behave. I said, why don't you just, don't tell her what to do and stay out of her life. And I picked up the bottle and smashed it on the table. And, I was really, angry.
The lead investigator, Detective Hernandez, has said that her bruises are consistent with someone who was beaten.
She slipped and hit the step and then rolled in. That's what we think happened.
Natalie Wood is one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, and her death remains one of its most argued over mysteries. She drowned off the coast of Southern California in November 1981 after a night on the yacht Splendour, and the questions have followed her husband, actor Robert Wagner, ever since. Decades later, the story keeps resurfacing through anniversary tributes, long-running disputes over what happened on board, and renewed allegations about what was happening in the marriage before that weekend. By the end, you'll know what her husband has actually confirmed in his own words and what remains rumor. The weekend that turned into a mystery.
The Los Angeles coroner today is saying actress Natalie Wood was drunk when she apparently slipped into the ocean trying to board that small rubber boat.
Natalie Wood was 43 when she drowned during a boat trip near California's Catalina Island in late November 1981. She was aboard the yacht Splendour with her husband Robert Wagner, her Brainstorm co-star Christopher Walken, and the couple's longtime skipper Dennis Davern. What keeps the case in the public conversation is people still debate the sequence of events on board and the moments after Natalie disappeared. Official explanations have been repeated for decades, but the unanswered details keep pulling attention back to that night. The setting itself also fuels the legend: a dark ocean, a celebrity whose life had been lived under a camera lens, and a small group of witnesses who've been asked the same questions for decades. Even when the facts are repeated, the gaps keep inviting scrutiny. Walken's presence is part of that. He's often treated as the outside figure who happened to be there. But his inclusion means there was another famous person on the boat and another set of memories of the weekend, which keeps the story from closing quietly. Robert Wagner's public remembrance.
We were so in love, and we had everything, and in a second it was gone. I wasn't there. I wasn't there for her.
Wagner has continued to remember Natalie publicly, often returning to the same themes of love, family, and loss. On one anniversary, he posted a black and white photo of the two of them and wrote, "Thinking of Nat today. Her warmth, beauty, and love remain with us through our children and grandchildren. Forever missed, forever cherished, more than love." He kept the focus on what she meant to the people closest to her. Those tributes also bring the basic facts back into view. Natalie drowned in November 1981 while on a boat trip off the coast of California, and Wagner, Walken, and Davern were on board. Every time the story is summarized, those names reappear and the questions restart. Wagner's memoir writing adds another layer because it describes what the aftermath felt like from his perspective. He wrote, quote, "When Natalie died, I thought my life was over. Looking back, he also wrote, I thought I would never get up, and children helped me heal. My friends were so supportive, and slowly I was able to get up. I got on my feet, but it was very, very difficult and a sad time." The family timeline matters here because it shows what was at stake beyond the headlines. Wagner and Wood married in 1957, divorced in 1962, and remarried in 1972 after reconciling. They shared daughters Courtney and Natasha, and after Natalie's death, Wagner adopted Natasha from Natalie's previous marriage. A new round of scrutiny.
How does it make you feel when they call you a person of interest?
I don't pay very much attention to it, Natasha, because they're not going to redefine me.
In recent years, the story has been pulled back into the spotlight with fresh waves of commentary that frame the case as unfinished business. Some reports claim Wagner has retreated from the public more than usual as renewed attention circles back to the questions surrounding Natalie's death. That same reporting points to small public signals like fewer direct interactions and more low-key posts, as if he is trying to keep his head down. Whether that's a personal choice, an age-related shift, or something else, it's been used as fuel for the idea that pressure is building again. One detail that continues to generate headlines is the claim that detectives have reason to believe Wagner was cheating on Natalie before her death with Jill St. John, who would later become his wife. That allegation does not explain what happened on the water, but it changes how some people interpret the mood of that weekend and the tension on board. It also adds a second storyline that runs parallel to the drowning itself. Instead of only asking what happened in the final moments, the conversation shifts towards what was happening inside the marriage, who knew what, and whether the private situation was more complicated than the public ever realized. Jill St. John and the cheating rumor.
And later on, I was so fortunate because Jill St. John,
The best.
came into my life. Yeah, I know you love her.
I love her.
She came into my life, and she had her hand under my arm, you know, and through a lot of help from a lot of friends and a lot of people, it all came.
Jill St. John has maintained she did not start dating Wagner until 3 months after Natalie's death, and the two have been married since 1990. That claim draws a clean line between mourning and a new relationship, at least in public. Dennis Davern is often presented as the counter voice, and his wording is blunt. He told the National Enquirer, quote, "I think Jill stepped into the program prior to Natalie's death," and said he believes he was kept inside Wagner's mansion after the tragedy to keep him silent. Davern also claimed, quote, "She was at Wagner's house instantly, but I couldn't see what was going on because I was trapped in that room," adding that he only could leave when accompanied by the actor's quote-unquote thugs. He then said, quote, "I think there was something else going on beside just feeling sorry for him." These statements do not resolve what happened on the yacht, but they widen the lens to the days immediately after. Instead of only asking how Natalie ended up in the water, they suggest people were managing access, movement, and information while the world demanded answers. Why the story still won't settle.
Somebody's lying. Somebody hurt her. Somebody's hurting all of us.
The mystery stays alive partly because Natalie Wood was not just a star, but a pop culture landmark. Every new retelling pulls in the same names, the same yacht, and the same unanswered moments, which makes the story feel unfinished even to people born long after 1981. The narrative also keeps splitting into two tracks. One track focuses on grief, remembrance, and the family left behind. The other track focuses on suspicion, shifting timelines, and allegations that suggest there was more going on than what was first presented. Natalie's daughter, Natasha, has spoken about how the public still relates to her mother. She described how it's, quote, "unbelievable that there's a relevancy to her all these years later," and how people feel a protectiveness towards her. That protectiveness is part of why the story never fully cools off. Natalie died more than 4 decades ago, and the fact that new claims are still being traded this long afterwards is part of what keeps the rumors circulating around her husband.
Do you believe Natalie Wood was murdered?
Something happened. I don't think she got in the water herself. I don't think she fell into the water.
Now it's time to hear from you. When you weigh Wagner's public grief, Davern's accusations, and the renewed talk about cheating, what do you think explains why this case still refuses to feel settled? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.